Friends, we are very happy to inform you that e-modules are prepared for B.Ed program at Telangana by the School of Education, Osmania University under Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme MHRD New Delhi. It's indeed our pleasure to share with the teacher educators and the prospective teachers and get maximum benefit out of it. It's a first of its attempt by us. We continue to add many more such lessons to share with you all.
Now that you have learned the first 5 animals and the basic primary level geometry, we'd like to introduce you to middle school geometry. Now, in the primary years geometry, you have learned about various shapes, you've learned about triangles, about an introduction to triangles, about the base of a triangle, the apex of a triangle, what horizontal is, what vertical is, and also introduced to the idea of what a quadrilateral is. So in this particular module, you're going to be looking at more in-depth work into types of triangles and types of quadrilaterals. Triangles are very tricky creatures. Triangles are really, really tricky creatures. Triangles in them, triangles within them have many secrets of patterns. Triangles themselves are the fundamental pattern of life. Triangle is considered to be the most strong structure in geometry. That is why architecture uses a lot of triangles for support. Even in our human body, even in our Indian spiritual systems, when they talk about chakras, chakras are also triangles. So essentially, triangle is the basis of life. And when you do the fourth module, when you look at the Sri Yantra, you'll get a grasp of why the triangles is such a important part of mathematics and geometry. However, through this module, we want you to walk through types of triangles by angles. We want to walk you through types of triangles by sides. Then we want to introduce you to various types of quadrilaterals ranging from square to rectangle, to a trapezium, to a rhombus, to a parallelogram, and types of parallelograms. And we're also engaging in showing you how you can use origami to create all these shapes and what these shapes mean. So it's very confusing concept. Triangles as well as quadrilaterals are very confusing concepts for a child that is passing from through middle school, because it's an age where a child is in transition, and a lot of concepts that are introduced them to are also in transition. So while the child is learning about types of angles, types of triangles based on angles might become very confusing for the child. Similarly, it can be very overwhelming for a child to understand that there are many types of quadrilaterals and how each type of quadrilateral varies from the other. But if a child is able to work with the hands, if a child is able to make their own triangles, if a child is able to make their own quadrilaterals, the child is able to learn better. Now there are 3 videos in this particular module. Anusha will walk you through the types of triangles based on angles and based on sides. Then Sairam will walk you through types of quadrilaterals. And then we're going to show you a video of Sairam when he was in 8th grade, and he came up with his own set of origami artifacts that could help you understand majority of geometry concepts from grade 1 to grade 10. So we are going to include that as a practical application so that you yourself as a teacher can encourage your students to come up with their own sets of learning. It's not necessary that all of learning should go from the teacher to the student. It's very important that the student also constructs their own learning. So we are hoping that this particular module, the second module, will help you understand not only types of triangles and types of quadrilaterals, but also encourage your students to create their own scope, their own sequence to understand several concepts of geometry and triangles and squares, and as well as quadrilaterals. While the whale here shown in the box is not very clear in terms of the steps shown, this visual imagery is schematically and also experientially created so as to provide a solid context for the construction of an origami whale. I request all of you to use this to kind of build the mathematical sequence and scope of construction of a whale and deconstruct it inside your own mindful awareness.
I will teach you how to do a origami whale. The first step involved is take a rhombus. So a rhombus has all sides, the sides are equal, but the thing is the diagonals are not equal in rhombus. Now what we'll do is we'll fold it, we'll join the two opposite vertices. In order to get a diagonal. Now this is one diagonal of the rhombus. Now what we'll do is we have to fold this side of this triangle along the vertical line. Now do the same thing on the other side. So this is known as kite. Now what we'll do is the next step involved is this side should coincide with the vertical line in order to get an isosceles triangle here. As this isosceles triangle has no side equal, so
it's okay. Okay, second now 2 seconds मल्ला start जाइए.
okay, now what the next step involved is this side should coincide on the vertical line in order to get a scalene triangle. The scalene triangle has no side equal, as you can see from here. This is the bigger side, this is small, and this side is bigger than this side. So in scalene triangle no side is equal. Now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Now unfold it. As you can see the creases. Now put your finger until the end point of the crease, as this line should again coincide with the vertical line.
Okay, second. वादे step तिप्पी इट साइड दिएगा था.
Now as I explained, this side should coincide with the vertical line. Fold it. Now do the same thing on the other side. Now unfold it. You can find the creases. Now put your finger this end until the end point, and this line should coincide with the vertical line. Now here the extra part, here it has to form a triangle. Now do the same thing. Put your finger here. push this along the vertical line. Now here a triangle has to be formed. Now as you can see here, again we are able to see two scalene triangles. 1, 2, 3. These three sides, this makes one scalene triangle, and in the downside also we are able to find a scalene triangle. The next step is this part has to be folded to the front side, not totally but little bit. Now this bottom scalene triangle, the end point of this triangle should go and meet the end point of the top part. Now turn it back side. So this is a type of quadrilateral where you can observe this is called a parallelogram, where the opposite two sides are parallel. Now what we have to do is we have to fold this end of this parallelogram to the front side and crease it properly. Now the next step is you have to fold this slant line to the front side. Now do the same thing on the other side. Now what we have to do is we have to fold this. This is a pentagon. Here we are able to find five sides. Now we'll fold this pentagon into half. Here you can find it also consists of 4 sides. Now in order to make the tail of the whale, you have to fold this end point to the upside, and now this tail has to go inside these two gaps. You have to unfold it. You have to push this inside. So in order to get the whale, and the whale is done.
And I think when you kind of do the revision of these 5 animals, that time you can show this Ramas guy, in whale. This guy will come in whale.
Yeah.
I have to try next week. A pig here is wonderful illustration of the second type of parallelogram, and the steps are also very clearly delineated. You may use this visual also to understand and compare and contrast what you are making.
So I will be explaining how to do a origami pig. The first step is we have to take a square. Now we'll fold the square into half. And unfold it. We get this line of symmetry, and this is a vertical line. As you can see, this is a vertical line. This cuts the square into 2 equal parts. Now along this vertical line, we'll fold this vertical line until the midpoint of this vertical line and unfold it. So you get 2 rectangles. Now we'll do the same thing. We'll take this side and fold it until the midpoint by not exceeding it, and unfolding it again. So we get 4 rectangles. Now what we have to do is, now we have to do the same step again. Get the 2 rectangles to the center point. Now we'll fold this rectangle into half and unfold it. So we get a horizontal line, which is a sleeping line. Now you find this top horizontal line. We have to fold this part until the midpoint and do the same thing on the other side. And unfold it. So here we can find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are able to see that we can get 8 squares out of this, and I'll explain what is fraction in this. See here, if you consider this as 1, this is one part of the total rectangle. This 2 by totally we having 4 squares, 2 by 4, 3 by 4 and 4 by 4, which is equal to 1. So we'll get one total rectangle. Now the next step involved is, from this square we'll use this endpoint and try to meet the opposite vertex in order to make it as we made a diagonal, and we'll do the same thing on the 4 sides, and on this side also we'll do the same thing. We'll join the two opposite vertices of the square. Now here we are able to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we are finding 6 sides, which is a polygon. Now what we have to do is, we have to open this triangle and put our finger until the end point of the diagonal and push it to the right side in order to get another triangle. We have to do the same thing on the 4 sides. We have to open the triangle, we have to put our finger until the end point of the diagonal. Now here we'll push on the left side, so we get a triangle here. So we do the same thing on the other sides. Now here we got 4 triangles which are isosceles right angle triangle. I'll explain. 1, 2, 3. This is a triangle and it consists of a right angle here. And these two sides are equal. This is an isosceles right angle triangle. Now what we'll do is, we'll fold this polygon into half in order to get a trapezium. So we get a trapezium here. Here the trapezium has two opposite sides are parallel to equal. They are not they are parallel sides, and the two other sides are not parallel to each other. They will intersect at a point. Now you find this triangle. We'll fold this triangle to the downside in order to make the legs of the pig, and we'll do the same thing on this side. Here we can find two scalene triangles, 1, 2 and 3, and here also we can find the same thing, and we'll turn it backside. We'll do the same steps in order to make the legs of the pig. So we are having 4 isosceles triangles. Now in order to make the head of the pig, on the front side we'll fold this right angle triangle to the upside and put your finger until the end point of that and fold it like this. And now in order to make the tail of the pig, we'll do the same thing but little smaller, because the tail is smaller than the head. So the pig is done.
What you're seeing here is a bear. A bear typically is easy to make in the origami fold, and you see the various steps of making a bear here, and essentially we are now into polygons. By the time you've reached making a bear, you've already gone from basic geometry structures like triangles and quadrilaterals into polygons, and this here is a wonderful schematic for the same.
I'll tell you how to do a bear. Now I'll explain how to do a bear using origami. The first step involved is, the basic thing is we require a square. Now we'll fold the opposite vertices and crease it so we get diagonal which joins the opposite vertices. Now we'll fold the square along the diagonal in order to get a triangle. Now what we will do is, we'll fold this triangle into half. We'll fold the triangle into half and open it so we get line of symmetry which cuts the big triangle into two equal triangles. Now we have to, so we are able to see the base. Now we have to fold the base towards the another triangle, and we have to do the same thing on the other side. So here we can find 5 sides, 1 2 3 4 5. A shape which has 5 sets is known as pentagon. Now what we will do is, we will unfold it, and the next step is, we will take one side and fold this triangle towards outside in order to make the ears. So here we are able to find another triangle, and we'll do the same thing. We'll fold this inside, we'll push this triangle to the outside, so we get 2 triangles. Now in this, the next step involved is, so we are making the ears. Now we have to fold this triangle towards inside and do the same thing on the other side. Now you find this apex of this shape. Now we'll fold it towards inside. So here we get a triangle, so the bear is completed.
The final animal in the series of all the animals we are learning is a duck. Duck here is ultimately turning out to be an octagon, and all the steps that lead to the making of the duck are very, very clearly outlined here, so you might use this as a benchmark to compare your artifacts.
I will be explaining about how to make origami duck. The first step involved is, we have to take a square. Now we have to fold the square along the diagonal and unfold it. Now you find the top apex of the square, and it has to come and meet at the midpoint of the 2 diagonals. So here this is a pentagon. This is one type of pentagon where 1 2 3 4 5, it consists of 5 sides. That's why it's called a pentagon, and it's an irregular pentagon. Now we have to unfold this. Now you find the bottom apex of this square. It has to come and meet at this point of the triangle. So here again we are getting a pentagon which is irregular. Now we have to fold it backside. Along the base this base should come and coincide with the vertical line. Now we have to do the same thing on the other side. Now we are getting a square out of the pentagon. Now we'll turn it to the other side. Here also we are getting a small square. Now what we have to do is we have to fold this. We have to fold the vertices to the down part. All vertices inside. And this apex also. Now when we turn it back, here we are able to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a, here we are able to find 8 sides, so it's a type of polygon. Now what we'll do is, in order to make the nose of the duck, we'll fold this triangle, we'll fold this pentagon inside, so the duck is done.
See, in whale, that
Kite.
kite came. Show whatever you can in the kite. Then
We can show isosceles triangle.
show isosceles triangle, and then a rabbit is the shifting point from quadrilaterals into polygons. All the 5 steps are clearly shown here. It provides a phenomenal colorful context for the child to place and understand the various steps and concepts of mathematics.
I will be telling how to do a origami rabbit. So basically it also involves square. We'll meet the two opposite vertices. In order to form a diagonal, as you can see. Now we'll fold the square along the diagonal. We get a triangle. Now along the base, we have to fold the base little bit upwards in order to get a trapezium. As you can observe, these two sides are parallel to each other and these two sides are diverging from each other. So here we are forming a trapezium. Now we'll fold this thing into half. We'll fold this into half where we get a vertical line, as you can see. Now along the base, as this one part of the trapezium, we will fold this base so it has to coincide on the vertical line, and we'll do the same thing on the other side. Now what we will do is we'll fold the apex of this square inside, so we get a triangle here. Now we'll turn it to the other side, and now this apex of this pentagon has to be folded inside. So here we are able to find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it is one type of polygon. So the rabbit is done. I am going to explain about the concepts which are involved in whale. Now in whale, the first step was to take a square and fold it along the diagonal. Now next, by unfolding it, so what we have to do is this slant line should come and coincide with the vertical line, and this side also we should do the same step. So we are getting a kite here which consists of 4 sides, and when we see the inner triangles 1 2 3, so this is a type of scalene triangle, and when we fold this kite into half, now we can clearly see that this is a scalene triangle where no side is equal. Now I am going to explain about the concepts which are involved in pig. So the pig also consists of the line of symmetry. Now here we are able to find the 4 rectangles which are symmetrical to each other, and we'll fold this square along the horizontal line in order to get a rectangle, and unfolding it and following the same steps. Unfolding it. So here we are able to find 1 2 3 4. So here we can find 16 squares. So we can observe that every line in this steps involved in the pig are symmetrical to each other. Now we'll fold it, and we'll fold this triangle, we'll fold this rectangle into half in order to get a square, and unfold it, and we'll fold this part of the triangle into half, and unfold it, and we'll do the same steps here. So here we can find 8 squares. Now in pig we can find out the trapezium, so I'm explaining about that. This square, so it has 2 opposite vertices. We will just attach the 2 opposite vertices on the 4 sides. Now by unfolding it, and put your finger at the end of this diagonal and push it to the right side, and do the same thing on the 4 sides. At the end point of this diagonal and push it to the left side. Now by folding this polygon into half, we can find a trapezium. Here these 2 sides are parallel to each other. As you can see, these 2 sides will never intersect, and these 2 sides are they are like diagonal shapes, so they will meet at a point. So a trapezium has 2 opposite sides are parallel, and the other 2 sides are not parallel to each other.